States prepare to head to the polls for Tuesday's primary. And the stakes are high. Republicans are looking to lock in several Senate seats come November in hopes of breaking the long-standing trend of whoever holds the White House almost always loses seats come the midterm elections. Something Democrats are pretty much banking on, most notably House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. She expressed confidence that they will retake control of the House come November. Joining me now to discuss all of that is House Majority Leader Kevin Mccarthy, potentially the next Speaker of the House. Good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for letting me come on with you.
Yeah, you know, I want to kick it off right there because Nancy Pelosi had a lot to say this last week. We have it up on a graphic. She told I think it was the Boston Globe, we will win in November and I will run once again to be the Speaker of the House. And you say?
That's probably one of the scariest things I've heard all week, because picture it come November 9th, waking up, if the Democrats controlled the House, and Nancy giving this congratulatory speech and becoming Speaker. What we had just transpired in the last year will all be reversed. So the number we just got today, unemployment below 4%. We have not seen that in more than 18 years. If you have a child going off to college, it's their entire lifetime. Instead of them fearful leaving college and moving back home, they're going to get a job. You look at 90% of all Americans, they got a pay raise with the tax cut. Nancy Pelosi called that Armageddon and made sure no Democrat would vote for that. You've got 48 out of 50 states, their electrical bills are lower because of that tax cut. That would be reversed. Or 2 million more jobs in the last year. North Korea now talking to South Korea. The VA reformed that no longer a GI Bill is only 15 years or you lose it. Battling human trafficking. Something we've been trying for the last 10 years. We have now shut down Backpage, those things on the internet that contribute 70% of all the 100,000 people who are trafficked in America. And we have so much more to do. Opioids. We just passed 60 bills inside the subcommittee. And you know what the Democrats did? The exact same thing they were doing on tax. They fought us. But Republicans will stay with it. Every American knows somebody who's addicted, and we will solve this problem. Infrastructure, reforming Dodd-Frank so these community banks could actually do what they're supposed to do in their own community.
Yeah, you have a great story to tell. I mean, certainly on the economic side of things, with the impact of the tax cuts, impact of the rollback in regulations, people are feeling better, and we are seeing it in the numbers. I agree that the Democrats are going to have to answer the question, why didn't you vote for the tax cut plan? So is that your plan in terms of holding on to the House? Because we know that history is not on your side, right? During the middle of a presidential term, usually that party does lose seats.
Only 2 times since World War II has the party in power that had the White House on our side gained seats, 1998 and 2002. I believe at the end of this day, Nancy Pelosi will not be Speaker. Republicans will keep the majority, not because we want it to happen, because what we have achieved. You are finding that the world is becoming safer. We've made the investments into our military. You have found that we have made economic strength. Don't discount unemployment below 4%, first time in 18 years. That is unbelievable in the stretch of where we're going. 2 million more jobs have been created just in the last year. How many millions of people have got a bonus because of the tax cut? Then think of this. One company gave 1.2 million people a longer maternity leave. But what does Nancy think of all that? She thinks that's crumbs and that's Armageddon.
Yeah.
But reforming the VA, infrastructure, dealing with human trafficking, opioid, these are things that matter to the American public. That's what we're focused on. That's what we'll stay focused on. So if you looked at the generic ballot earlier this year, yeah, if the election was in January, they would have won. Today, they would lose.
Wow. All right. Well, we'll be watching that. Obviously, it's a good story to tell on the economic side. And typically speaking, people do vote with their wallet.
Yes.
How am I feeling today? Am I feeling better than I was 2 years ago? Let me ask you about what you've been working on in terms of the spending bill, or the rescission bill, really. You're expecting the White House to send to Congress something this week. Where does that stand?
Well, you first have to understand, what does the rescission bill allow you to do? We've watched most of this frustration with Congress happens in the Senate, and not with the Republicans in the Senate, but the Democrats, because it takes 60 votes to do anything. When we look to repeal this burdensome regulatory world, remember, you have a Congressional Review Act that allows you to pass it in the House and Senate with a simple majority. Well, we did that 16 times. Nobody else has ever to do that except one time. Rescissions was actually a common practice from President Ford to Clinton. Ronald Reagan did it 214 times. Bill Clinton did it 111 times. And what it allows you to do is look at spending, make a cut, pass it with a majority in the House and 51 votes in the Senate. I believe this shouldn't be a partisan idea. It wasn't in the past. So let's go find places that we could have savings. There are accounts that are funded that those programs no longer exist or can't be used. So why would the money stay there? Repeal it and bring it back. And so we've worked with the president. This is something he's trying to make sure. Let's cut wasteful spending. I think that should be a bipartisan plan. But watching Nancy, everything is partisan.
But it wasn't bipartisan when you actually had the chance to say no to this and no to Planned Parenthood and no to something else, health care. You signed the bill. So where are the areas to actually cut? Can you identify some areas that you could?
This is how the program works. OMB puts it together, sends it to the House, and we have 45 days to act, and it takes 51. So they are looking at accounts that have been sitting there, that have been funded, that programs are no longer existing, but the money's sitting there. Why wouldn't you cut that wasteful spending? If there is a place that we could save the taxpayer money, we should look at that, and especially bipartisan. But look, I asked Steny Hoyer the other day in a colloquy. He said he would look at something like that because they have a history of voting for it, but now they're denying everything, just like they're trying to deny the president these appointments. There's 1,200 positions that have to be confirmed. If you take the last 6 presidencies, in the first 2 years, there was only 24 cloture votes. Today, there's 88.
Wow.
They are trying to dismantle government in the process. They're trying to make the president not successful. But you know what? We are winning in the process, and we will keep making sure we're fighting. I don't care if they fight the opioids. We will get this done.
How do you keep dealing with that, though? I mean, the constant resist on the other side, this slow walking of nominees. I'm actually amazed that this president is able to handle things like North Korea, Iran deal, and this decision coming up in the face of all of this resist. Is this what it's going to be like the next 3 years?
It shouldn't be. The election is over, and we should work as one. You know, we should put the people before the politics. But if they continue down this path, what they're doing in the Senate today, it would take 11 years to confirm these people. And all that does is hurt the American public.
It's incredible. Meanwhile, on the other side, we've been talking about this potential abuse of power at the FBI and the Department of Justice. You heard Devin Nunes earlier call into Fox and Friends, and he basically said, we're done. We are ready now to pursue contempt of Congress charges because you're not getting the documents that your committee chairmen have asked for. How far are you willing to go with this? Are you going to pursue contempt and impeachment charges?
Well, first, let's actually talk about what we're seeing. It's not just us, and it's not just the American people. Last Friday, a federal judge, T.S. Eliot, said this to Mueller's investigation, that he does not believe a special prosecutor has the power, he or she, to do anything they want. Unfettered power, I think the term he actually used. What they're watching today and what he questioned, look, everybody wanted to get to the bottom, was there any collusion with Russia? The millions of dollars are spent, all the investigation, everybody says there was none. It is time for Mueller to end that investigation. Everybody sees it and where he's trying to draw it to. Now, it's not just the judge, but it's the American public. Remember, we have separate but co-equal branches of government. For too long, the DOJ and the FBI has been stonewalling Washington, has been stonewalling Congress. Congress has a right to oversee it. Devin Nunes is chairman of the Intel Committee. So classified information can be sent to the Intel Committee, not to the entire body. That is the role that they have. But for every time they have stonewalled us, we have not given up. And when we did get the information, it was very interesting how the information would come forward, that people would then start resigning or quitting from these organizations based upon the action that they took place. I think, from my point of view, is we will not stop because we are separate but co-equal, and we will take every process that we have in the power to get the information that we have a right and responsibility to see.
There was an op-ed in the Journal by Kim Strassel on Friday, and she writes, the credibility of the House's oversight authority is at stake. Paul Ryan's committee chairmen have done remarkable work exposing FBI behavior. They serve backup. Mr. Ryan needs to state strongly and publicly that he has zero qualms about proceeding down the road of contempt of impeachment if House demands are not met. You are likely, if you hold on to the House, the next Speaker of the House. Are you going to pursue this?
Yes, you have to uphold the power of the separation of powers here. It's not about this issue, it's about Congress in itself. We have a right and responsibility. If this is allowed during this investigation, it could be in anything else. And that's what the judge was talking about last Friday, the unfettered power of this individual. That is wrong, and these agencies have to have the responsibility to provide the information to Congress.
Yes.
And it's provided to the Republicans and the Democrats. That's the responsibility. Look, every 2 years, the public loans the power to their member of Congress to oversee. That's the role we have, and we have to uphold that power.
All of this stonewalling leads to the question, what are they hiding? Why not just give the documents that your committee chairman have been requesting?
Yeah, and if they're claiming it's classified, yes, don't give it to all of Congress, but that's why we set up the Intel Committee to start out with. They handle classified information all the time because they should oversee that. And the rest of Congress doesn't see it, but that is their role. So they can't hide behind that.
Yep.
The other part is, it's interesting, Lisa Page leaving now. The Inspector General's report is coming soon. The more and more we learn about this, the more we realize, one, there was no collusion. Two, this continues on, it should not. These investigations should end, the millions of dollars that have been spent, and we should get on with Americans' business. Think about this. The president, in a few short weeks, is going to be sitting down with North Korea and South Korea. No one thought that was possible
Incredible.
a year ago or even beyond. There's the possibility of ending the Korean War, of the thousands of lives that Americans have given. Let's make this president as strong as he can in that opportunity that we have to make the world safer.
Well, he's been making some bold decisions. I mean, even the idea that he could actually pull out of the Iran deal. The deadline's coming up, May 12th. Are you comfortable, as the majority leader, seeing the president say, you know what, I'm not renewing this on May 12th?
I'm very comfortable. The president is looking at this, looking at all sides. Look at what former Secretary of State Condi Rice recently said. She said she never would have signed it, and she said, if we pull out, I don't get the phrase correctly, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Right? What Iran is doing in this agreement, why it is so bad, not only did they get billions of dollars, they spent that money fostering terrorism around the world. They can have a nuclear weapon at the end of this agreement. They continue to test their ballistic missiles. They are not creating more freedom in this world. Someone has to stand up to them. And I'm sorry, if we pull out of that, the size of their economy based upon the size of ours, I think Europe will follow us before they're concerned about the Iranian economy. And think about their own revolution inside there, their youth are frustrated with them spending this money around the world, fostering and bringing terrorism and unsafe for all of us,
right,
when they should be focused on their own economy. It's time someone stands up to them. That was a bad deal to start with, and history will show that was the wrong agreement, and I'm thankful that the president is looking at all options.
All right, we're going to leave it there and follow the developments. Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, it's good to see you.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Kevin McCarthy there. We will continue this conversation. Former Attorney General Judge